I've been involved in the debates, the global debates over globalization now for a decade and a half. Beginning of the 90s, the WTO, the World Trade Organization, there was enormous support for globalization, a belief that everybody, both in the developed and less developed countries, would benefit, the poorest would benefit, and the richest would benefit. Since then, globalization has united the world, but against it.
So when we leave next week, we'll be submitting or have submitted our goods and services package. We will look at that, the WTO will look at that, and we will see what can stay where it is, what goes up, what comes down, as a part of a negotiation of the overall scheme of the. Once we come out of that first stage, we will know whether there have to be any tax adjustments or whatever. So I think that's a fear that we don't know yet, because we are moving from customs duties to a VAT-based economy, and we'll see how that after the negotiations.
In fact, one of the most important global movements has been the global movement against globalization. A global civil society movement involving hundreds of thousands of people all over the world. The question of those who believe that globalization would work is why has globalization generated such antipathy from both the developed and the less developed countries when both were supposed to benefit? We realized that many of the poorest countries in the world were actually made worse off.
So we're trying to go to the WTO to organize where we think there are terms that each and every one of us can live by.
And that means the decisions that are made at the global level do not reflect the interests, the well-being of all the citizens of the world. The advanced industrial countries demanded that the poorest countries open up their markets, eliminate their subsidies, but the advanced industrial countries did not fully reciprocate.
Under a WTO system, you're being asked to gradually reduce your custom duties as a barrier to trade.
20 years ago, when the current era of globalization began, there was a certain set of doctrines, a certain set of beliefs. The belief was that liberalizing trade, taking away trade barriers, would lead to more trade would lead to more growth would lead everybody to be better off, both in developed and less developed countries. If you don't have anything to sell, what are sometimes called supply constraints, then eliminating tariffs doesn't help. As an example, the United States tried to stop the export of avocados from Mexico, saying that there were fruit flies, very, very small fruit flies. Mexicans said, "You can't see them." He said, "That's the point. That's why they're so dangerous. They're invisible fruit flies." But this illustrates how these phytosanitary conditions can be used as a trade barrier, and a very effective one at that. Billions of dollars of exports from the developing countries are kept out of the advanced industrial countries because of this. And the stories like this can be told over and over again. So in many respects, it's not a conflict between the advanced industrial countries and the developing countries. It's a conflict between corporate interests, special interests, and the well-being of people all over the world.
Raise the value-added tax from the current rate of 12% to 15%.